right. That's right.
Hope you find some kind of peace of mind. And hope you find some kind of peace of mind.
Was true.
Oh, what a beautiful Monday it is. Is it though? Let's make Mondays beautiful again, alright, everybody? What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Matty B, Epis Radio. This is Mental Mondays with Epis, episode 25. Make a change for the better. I hope you find some kind of peace of mind on this beautiful Mental Mondays. Yes, I got my little glasses on, alright? I'll probably take them off at some point, but I'm enjoying them too much, alright? Bought these over the weekend. It's an early Christmas gift from the wifey. Trying something new, and not for nothing. Kind of blocks out the white light that I got to deal with on these night shows because, my God, alright? Try staring into that thing for a good 2-3 hours. It's a strain on the eyes a little bit, all right? I know I look a little ridiculous. It's fine. We can talk about that. That's all right. It's a little mental, and you know what? That's good. It's Mental Mondays. This is what we do. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. All right. First off, as always, just hope you had a beautiful Monday, everybody out there. Those who are watching from Twitch, YouTube, live as we speak, and or those who are watching in post, please like, comment, follow, subscribe, keep the notifications on as always. All right, appreciate you as always. I mentioned in the pre-intro, the intro to the intro, that my man Pots and Pans W. Dubois is going to be taking over for the sports show coming up after the Mental Mondays with Epis tonight. So stay tuned for that if you're interested. Going to be talking a lot of NFL. All right, and obviously those watching in post, you can just go over to the page on YouTube or Twitch and check out the sports episode with W. Dubois. All right. New subject, a lot going on in my life. I ran a marathon over the weekend. Just absolutely insane. I'll kind of touch base on that a little bit, only because it is a little on the sports related side, but the whole mental fuckery, if you will, that I went through in order to get there and do it. Not to mention the fact that I just ran a marathon, kind of mentally tough as is, but a fun little thing between me and my wife, we decided 5 months back that I would allow her to give me 24 hours notice so that I could run a marathon. And one key thing aside from that had to be that it had to be out of state. So, it was kind of a destination thing, maybe an impromptu vacation, just a little something to get away, change up the speed a little bit. And of course, because I'm crazy and I want to run a marathon, anywhere I go, why not? So, it's kind of been 5 months in the happening. She surprises me, obviously I knew that the marathon was coming and there was only 1 month left in the year. So it was pretty much easy to narrow down now in the next couple of weeks. I had to run a marathon. I honestly did not think it would be this past weekend. I thought potentially it could be next weekend. So I was kind of ramping myself up mentally for that. And, so it ended up being a good surprise nonetheless. And on a day in which kind of it just was not rather ideal. And I'll explain why. And the reason being is because that same morning, I had a fish emergency in my backyard. For those of you who don't know, I have a 250-gallon koi fish pond in my backyard. I know, I'm a little bougie. I inherited this pond. It's been with this house for 30-plus years. I've taken care of these fish now well over 3 years, and, I've gotten very close to my fish. I love my fish. I don't want to see anything happen to my fish. And I wake up that very same morning that she tells me, all right, you're going to run a marathon in 24 hours. For those of you who haven't seen it, go check out my Instagram page, TikTok. Um, you'll show, that video of my wife waking me up, and, just a true, I, honest to God, genuine surprise. And she got me good. I was not ready for it. But soon after the making of that video, I go downstairs and like start scrambling to get ready for what's to come, in the next 24 hours. I take a peek in the backyard because I kind of have a tendency to do that. I knew there was some sort of like small leak happening for a little bit of while now. And I just so happened, I was like, you know what? I know we're going to be leaving because the marathon ended up being in Delaware. I live in New York, so it's about about a 4 hour drive. Depending on the traffic. So we're not going to be back. She had us in plan not to be back till Sunday. So I had to do my due diligence, even though I have somebody looking over the house, but still have to double back and just check and make sure that everything's okay. When I go look for the fish, there's very little water in this 250-gallon tank, and I just go into complete panic mode. I was distraught. I thought my fish were gonna die. Um, I it was a weird place to be mentally because I'm like, well, marathon that we paid for, all this vacation, things like that. Like, gotta move, gotta go. Like, I really can't hang around much longer. At the same time, generational fish for 30 years cost a lot of money. Um, Cared for them for a while. They're my pets. I'm like, am I just gonna let them die? Which I will say I actually did. Basically, I walked away and I was like, this is it for them. I tried to scramble throughout the morning. I was calling my mother. I was trying to figure out solutions. I was trying to figure out ways to maybe relocate them, put them in a pond somewhere. I just didn't have the manpower and or the time in order to do it, and I was kind of like, put in a bind. I was like, oh, what the hell do I do here? So it really weighed heavily on me mentally as I'm getting ready for this marathon and just trying to pack. We got 3 kids here at home on the consistent, right. I got one older one. Stays with me from time to time, but yeah, it's a lot to just up and move your family and just go, and then next thing you know, I'm dealing with this emergency on the side. A part of me wanted to just stay behind and figure it out and find a way to help them. I tried to get my neighbor involved. They ultimately did, and my neighbor was actually responsible for saving the fish. So what happened was they had called me the next day, and this was after the marathon. I was out there running. At the point on the Saturday, I had presumably thought that all the fish were dead, like there was no shot. They were coming back, and yeah, I'll take the glasses off now, right? What's going on? Jesus, see, now it's so bright. I'm like, oh no, yeah. I'm telling you, that light is a problem. All right. So my neighbor calls me that Saturday, after the marathon, and tells me, hey man, like the fish are alive. And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean they're alive? Like, there's no way they're alive. Like, they were, they were done for. They were gone, they were not even, they were an afterthought at that point, And he's like, no, man, they're alive. I'm like, you're out of your mind. There's no way. And so he sends me a video, and, he's filling it up. And because let me tell you, when I left, I mean, very little water. I have a really big koi fish. I don't even know. I don't know how much he weighs. I would say anywhere from like 8 to 10 pounds, maybe. Maybe I'm way off on that. I don't know, but I'm like saying 8 to 10 pounds. Um, and big guy. You know, definitely. Nice length here. Across my chest. Just a huge koi, and half of his body was out of the water at the time. So that was when I left. So I figured, okay, the leak is just it's gonna drain all the water. What ended up happening is it did. The leak must be somewhere above that water line because it kind of like stopped in his tracks there, and it was just enough water for the fish to survive that day. And my neighbor had refilled it a little bit. My stepdad came in the next day, made sure it was looking good, filled it some more. And all is well with the fish, so I just had that completely blindside me. Again, while I'm trying to prep for this marathon, which, is a whole, mental juggle, mental gymnastics in itself. Now, especially because, looking back on my training regimen early in the week, I had done some workouts, I had lifted some weight, which, I don't normally always do. I did it 3 times this week, so I ran consistently this week, did some speed work, and again, for those of you who don't know, like if that's, if I'm preparing for a marathon within days, that is not something I highly recommend doing. Any running coach would probably recommend the same. You're supposed to be tapering off and relaxing and not relaxing, but just minimizing your impact and really gearing up and planning for the marathon that's coming in the couple of days. So, it was not mentally, I'm like, stressed because of that, but at the same time knew what I was getting myself in for. The koi fish situation, definitely the far more stressful situation. I thought they were dead for. I was at one point brought to tears on Friday before I left because I just, I cared so much for this fish, and I felt like a bit of a failure, honestly. I felt like a bad homeowner, a bit of a failure in that light, and I know that's kind of like, you shouldn't, but it's the truth, honestly. It was just, it's how I felt, and oh god, don't give me that. Sorry, I'm switching up my music here and I'm getting advertisements like, dude, get out of here with that garbage. Giving you guys a little music during the Epis show tonight. Alright, something to relax too. So again, dealing with that, definitely put my weekend into a crazy headspace. Task, what's going on, man? Excuse the pun, you were a fish out of water. I was, Task. What's going on, bro? Hope all is well. Coming from Twitch, good old Taskmaster, member of Shiv Nation. Give him a follow, everybody. Yeah, man. Let me tell you, I was definitely a fish out of water. I didn't know what to do. I was screaming. I was calling my mom, asking her to help frantically. I'm like, Ma, call somebody. I'm like, call is there like a fish store, or like call Petco? Will they take them? Can we sell them? Will somebody, like, I don't know, is there like a fish rescue? Like, figure out something, please. Like, I need to leave. I can't do it. And which is kind of crazy because, like, koi fish cost a lot of money. I was just willing to give them up for free at that point, just for the sake that they don't die that way. Because honestly, it was kind of traumatizing to watch 25 fish just like not belly up, but like on their side, like gasping for water, like, they're about to like not have any water left. It was pretty bad. It was a genocidal fish situation going on. I'm like, oh my god. Oh man. Me, man, not much. You're staying out of the hospital? Good. You should always stay out of the hospital. Good. It's a good thing, Tess. I'm happy to hear that. Me, it's just a crazy Monday, man. It's normal Monday. It's a mental Monday. You know, we're here. Work was work. It was a bit crazy. You know, I mean, in the morning it was. It was just crazy busy. And just normal work things. You know, coworkers being coworkers. Life in general is good. Again, you know, I'm not done with the fish story. It continues today. I come home and I just checked now. I'm looking in the backyard because as of yesterday, everything was good. We get home from the marathon, everything's good. We get home from Delaware. You know, I checked the fish real quick. Okay, water's level good, no problem. You know, I'll check them again tomorrow. We'll check it out. Make sure the water's not too bad. I look out there when I get home after work today, and I got home like close to like 5. And I'm looking in the back and I'm like, oh no. You know, like I could see because there's like a little waterfall. And I could just tell. I'm like, oh no. There's something wrong. I gotta check it real quick. So I go back there and again, at this point, not to my surprise, there's a whole freaking, you know, big leak again. Like, well, we know there's a leak. I don't know what I'm saying. All the water's gone. That's what I'm saying. Again, they're like easily a couple hours away from having little to no water again, and I'm like, oh no. So I'm filling the water up as we speak. Actually, I'm probably gonna text my wife in a second or two. Maybe I'll text it now before I forget, since we're on the subject. But I'm filling up the water as we speak. We're dealing with really cold temperatures right now in New York, so I think that's not helping the crack situation, and it's probably just worsening it, honestly. Oh, a part of the emergency. Now this just become about my whole fish fiasco this episode. Upon the emergency on Friday morning, it was so cold the previous night. It was 19 degrees here, so my hose and the spigot that's coming outside the side of the house completely froze. So I couldn't even run the water to refill it. That was really the whole, that's a big part of the whole emergency. That was the problem. So I couldn't refill it. You know, and if I had the time, if I wasn't going to Delaware for a freaking marathon, I guess theoretically I could have just taken buckets of water back and forth. It would have taken all day, you know, but that would have been the only solution to help these fish. So I kind of just left them for dead, I thought, again, you know. So, and I even went over to my neighbors, checked their host. Nope, no good. Frozen. Apparently it thawed out by the next day, which is, you know, what ultimately ended up saving. Jesus, it's 0 degrees in Lake Placid right now. Thankfully, I'm not there. But it's also 26 degrees here. And it feels like 15. So, yeah, and I felt it getting out of work. That water is going to completely freeze tonight. So, I mean, I have to fill it up now. I'm glad that I'm able to fill it up now. Otherwise, we could be looking at dead fish again. Yeah, I really got to figure this situation out. Like, this is not good. It's costing me a lot of money in the water. I mean, it's a 250-gallon tank there. You know, like, so to be filling this up every couple of days is absurd. You know, like, it's just going to run my water bill's already through the roof. I haven't, you know, I'm kind of on back pay a little bit. So, you know, this is not a good situation. To think that I had to just up and leave, go run a marathon in this state, you know, on top of having 24-hour notice to run a marathon. I'm telling you, it was a bit of a stressful weekend. I'm not going to lie, all right? It wasn't... And then we're moving down to Delaware, going to a friend's house with 3 kids in the car, you know. That's stressful in itself. Hold on, I really got to text my wife and let her know. Because I don't want it to overflow a little bit and waste water. Water, okay. check the pond water, please. Thank you, my love. There you go. She might be watching the stream right now anyway, hearing me, but probably already did check it because she's a good wife like that. Yeah, man. Oh, Flex Seal has a paste stuff to fill cracks, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I know. Flex Seal's pretty good. Here's the thing. Here's the thing with the fish. You know, as much as I do like to fish, I really think I may want to get rid of them. You know, they in fun. Yes, I could locate this leak, fix it, you know, have them be all good, and then just, you know, go back to maintaining, you know, them. But it takes up a lot of space in my backyard. They're not my fish. I inherited the fish, you know, when I bought the house. I like the feature of it. You know, I like the tree that hangs over the pond. I wish I had like a photo to show you guys real quick. I don't think I have anyone like saved on my PC or anything that I could pull up that I would know of anyway real quick. But maybe, you know, when I do a little post edit, I'll take a picture and put it up there for you guys. But there's really like not a good way to go about this outside of fixing that leak. And again, like, it's a lot of maintenance, man. Like, just, I gotta be out there during the summer at least cleaning that filter like once a week, definitely once every, you know, 2 weeks, but it really should be once a week. That takes up a lot of time. It's a lot. It's gross. You know, it's not necessarily something that's like fun and easy to do. You could also hire somebody to do it, but that's just more money that you got to spend. And just unnecessary money at that point. I'd rather, you know, spend the hour or two cleaning it and maintaining. But, you know, things happen, other leaks, you know, come about, or, you know, the motor gets clogged. Like, it's just weird, man. Like, you know, like, it's just a lot. And then, you know, they tell you got to buy, you know, chemicals to maintain the pond and things like that. I've found that you don't really need to do that. So I've minimized my cost in terms of, you know, what I need to spend on the pond. But, you know, it still is a lot. It's time consuming. It's a lot of money. You know, and I look forward to the house and, you know, looking ahead in terms of years and the kids growing up, and I'm like, all right, what probably makes more sense? You know, putting in a pool, you know, or I could just plug the ground, get rid of all that, you know, and just more grass space, but that's boring. I'm thinking since there's already a hole in the ground, it's probably best to just convert it into a pool. And or jacuzzi. I know the wife would like a jacuzzi. I would like a jacuzzi. I'm thinking about an outdoor sauna in the backyard. There's so many possibilities. You know, I just think that would probably be the best move, and just more so, you know, for the guests and everything like that too. You know, I host a lot of parties, you know, like, so it just would make sense in the long run. And then when I, you know, resell the house later down the line, should bring a little bit more value. Although they say, yeah, it's more of an insurance liability. It might devalue it in ways, or you know, detract from people from buying because it's you know, a maintenance thing, much like the pond was. I would kind of argue maintaining the pond is just as bad as maintaining a pool, but you know, I've had a pool growing up, you know, when I, you know, lived with my parents in Maspeth, Queens. You know, I knew, you know, I cleaned it every now and then, but my dad obviously was the one who maintained it. You know, it was a lot. You know, he actually built that thing, man. They put that in. You know, and it was above ground pool. I would like to do like half above ground pool, not in ground. I would like to do an in ground, but apparently it's a whole insurance thing, and you're gonna have to pay for it, you know, in the long run. So I don't know. It's a lot to consider. I love my fish, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can, you know, deal with, you know, maintaining them forever, and or I just, you know, feel like I want to go in a different direction with my home, you know. So I don't know. That's enough of the fish stuff. All right, I've given them too much time, 30 minutes of our time here on the Mental Mondays. So, Mental Mondays, episode 25, make a change for the better. All right, if you haven't seen this week's mental health video of the week, I'm about to show you it. All right. If you want to check it out on all the socials, go check it out. Please give it a like, and a little comment, a little share, whatever you can do to help support. We appreciate you. All right. Let me cut this music real quick. Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, I'll send this to W real quick for the sports show right there. So I know my man is getting ready. Like I said, I did mention at the top of the show that my co-host on the sports shows, W. Dubois, is going to be taking over the stream in a little bit. Not too little bit. Don't go anywhere. But we will be transitioning to the sports show after I'm done here with Mental Mondays with Epis. So stay tuned if you're interested in that. All right, I'll probably pop in towards the end of his show. I think he's going to probably go for about an hour, hour and a half, same thing like we normally do. But I'd imagine he'd go for that long. I'll probably pop in. I just got to go eat dinner, put the kids to bed, and make sure that's all good before I could come back and join and talk a little sports. It's been a while. Love talking the sports as usual. Do I gotta do something here? I think, do I got a collab invite to accept? What do I got here? No, I don't think so. Ooh. Oh, that's right. W's got a... Oh, I gotta find a way to do that on here. W putting out some promos and things like that for the show. I'll switch over real quick. Oh, look, I got the volume still on. All right. Taking a little bit of a different approach with the Mental Monday, with the weekly videos lately. Just in terms of how I shoot it, how I talk. A lot of the times in the past, it's been very short messages. I haven't done a two-person one in a while, which I know is something you guys really liked. I definitely got a lot of positive feedback from that. So I gotta find a way to work that back in. It's honestly, to me, it just hasn't. When I make this type of content, it really just got to speak to me a little bit. And for whatever reason, that's something that just hasn't really spoken to me in that way. And I'm really not sure why. To be honest, like it just is what it is. Why that's the case, I don't know. I just it's a week to week thing. If it comes to me, it comes to me. Lately, the two-person thing just hasn't been there. I guess maybe it's a sign of what's going on in my life at the time. But I know when I was making a lot of those two-person videos, like there was a lot going on with me and my oldest son. I think it was really weighing on my mind mentally, and it reflects in the content a little bit. It's just natural. I wear it on my sleeve sometimes, and I'm not I don't shy away from that. I embrace that. It's who I am, and it's why I do what I do. But it certainly, I think, had an effect on that. So if you're if you're new to the show, then you may not understand why, but you can look back at some of the old videos and get what I'm saying. But for those who've been around for a while, I'm seeing it. You get what I'm saying. There's been a bit of a shift, and again, for the better, right? Staying on topic for the show. Making a change for the better. I think certainly, all I'm trying to ever do is just simply improve. And better myself. And this video is about that. It's a message not only to myself but to you as well, the viewer, and to understand that you can make yourself better. You have the time. Also, a lot of people, it's not something I mentioned in this video, but a lot of people, feel like they're running out of time, and I'm here to tell you it's just simply not the case. Even if you're in 50s, 60s, like there's still what I mean. I think the average lifespan has changed in New York. I think it's like into the 80s now, like 83, 84, which is kind of great. It's great to hear. It's great to see. To be honest, because it's something that was in the mid 70s, years ago, and you know when you look at it, even if you're in the 50s, 60s, there's still so much time to to live and to do something, man. Like you're 50 years old, you can live to your 80. I mean, that's 30 some odd years. Like, come on now, and if you're younger than that, forget it. I hear people plenty of times, all the time, in their 30s, saying, "Oh, they don't have enough time," things like that. It's just simply not true. I know it may feel like that sometimes, and certainly I feel that a lot, you know. But even I have to remind myself that it's just simply not the case, man. You need to work at it. I don't want to keep on going because I'll just keep on going. Let me play this week's mental health video of the week. Please, if you haven't done so, go to the Instagram, go to TikTok, YouTube. Just give it a like, drop your comment, let me know where you're coming from. It mean a lot, and helps that algorithm move. So appreciate you. All right, here's this week's mental health video of the week. Year is coming to an end. I start to look forward a little bit and plan for my future. And part of that is making improvements within myself or just my livelihood overall. I've considered a career change. I've considered, changing it up in a lot of ways, lifestyle, things like that. I want to do more in terms of my own hobbies and goals. I challenge you to do the same. Look ahead a little bit, plan for the future. New Year's resolutions are great, but make an impactful change in your life. Apply to that job that you've been considering, or that you don't think you're qualified for. Maybe go back to school. I don't know, that could be the route for you too. I know it's scary at times, complacency is sometimes, good and detrimental, you know, but being content, might hinder your growth a little. So challenge yourself. Do something that, you don't think that is even achievable, or, if it seems like it's long down the road, one step at a time. Just do it. What's the worst that could happen? You end up where you are now, a year from now. Okay, seems like wasted time, but you challenge yourself. You tried. And more often than not, you're going to be a different person for it, and probably a better person. So here's to trying new things. Here's to just changing it up, mainly for the better, and trying to be happier in the long run. So keep showing up. As the year is coming to an end, I start to look forward a little bit and plan for my future. And part of that is making improvements within myself or just my livelihood overall. I've considered a career change. I've considered, changing it up in a lot of ways, lifestyle, things like that. I want to do more in terms of my own hobbies and goals. I challenge you to do the same. Look ahead a little bit, plan for the future. New Year's resolutions are great, but make an impactful change in your life. Apply to that job that you've been considering, or that you don't think you're qualified for. Maybe go back to school. I don't know, that could be the route for you too. I know it's scary at times, complacency is sometimes, good and detrimental, but being content, might hinder your growth a little. So challenge yourself. Do something that, you don't think that is even achievable, or, if it seems like it's long down the road, one step at a time. Just do it. What's the worst that could happen? You end up where you are now, a year from now. Okay, seems like wasted time, but you challenge yourself. You tried. And more often than not, you're going to be a different person for it, and probably a better person. So here's to trying new things. Here's to just changing it up, mainly for the better, and trying to be happier in the long run. So keep showing up. As the year is coming to an end,
All right, that's enough there. Keep showing up. As always, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Mental Mondays with Epis. I'll probably play it one more time at the end of the show before we go for you. But please, if you haven't already done so, go over to Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and give it a like. At least on one of them. We appreciate you, as always, for showing up. And listen, down to just the overall message of it, you know, make a change. You know, I was talking with my wife coming back from Delaware, you know, and she was kind of like confiding in me that she was looking, you know, to maybe switch it up career wise, and you know, I've been, you know, stuck in that mental debate within myself of potentially doing the same. You know, um, as much as I like to do what I do at work, you know, like I know there's something else I'd rather be doing. You know, some of the things I've thought of kind of scare me a bit because it just seems rather daunting. It seems unachievable at times. It seems like too much of a risk, you know, like you know, let's stay complacent, let's stay content, you know, with what I got. Let's go with the sure thing, you know, and you know, I'm kind of on this kick in my life where I'm trying to do the opposite in terms of my fitness and things like that, and really, you know, reaching certain goals athletically, you know, but you know, I can't really say the same for in that other aspect of my life. I mean, I think I've taken charge with this show and made improvements, and this year has been just an eye opener in my development with that, and I'm very proud of that. You know, going from 5 subscribers on YouTube to 40,000, it just doesn't happen by doing nothing. You know, could it be better? Sure, I think it could always be better, but I don't want to sell myself short. I, you know, want to give myself the pat on the back and congratulate myself on top of, you know, my athletic, you know, accomplishments throughout the year. But there's more, you know, like there's just more. I like my job, um, but I feel like there needs to be a bit of a change, and I'm just, you know, a part of me is scared to make that jump, and that's what my wife was, you know, also confiding. You know, she feels the same way. You know, she's afraid to make that leap, that change, and the reason why I bring this up is because it's a very natural way to feel. You know, especially as you get older. You know, I see it with so many people. You know, my mother included. You know, just almost an unwillingness to progress just out of fear of something new. You know, you've been around for so long, you just used to the same old ways, doing the same old things. Doing something that's, you know, new is uncomfortable. You know, it's, you know, doesn't necessarily put you at ease. You know what I'm saying? It's hard. You know, people don't want to do the hard thing. You know, running marathons, you know, 3 marathons in 1 year, you know, 5 races, big races like that in 1 year is not easy. You know, did I even think a year or two I would do that? No. You know, a year or two ago, no. You know, applying, going back to school when you're 60, not easy. You know, for anybody going back to school anytime. You know, even if it was for me now, not easy. You know, for me, I would like to open up my own business. I'd like to grow my own food. I'd potentially like to open up a food truck, things like that. I've talked about that for years. Even a restaurant, potentially, if it fits, if it's in a nice location that I like. I like the idea of the food truck. I like the idea of running my own farmer's market, growing my own food, maybe even having my own farm. I don't know, you know. have people come apple picking or picking strawberries or blueberries, and during the summer months, things like that. I don't know. I don't have the answers to it, but what I do know is that it starts with movement. It starts with something. What I've been able to do athletically over this past year didn't just start from nothing. It started those days of putting in the work and showing up when I didn't want to, and the same applies for anything. You know, you don't think you're qualified for a job? Well, get qualified. Go back to school. Do that. Get the work experience you need to. Put in the work. Every single day to achieve that goal. You know, my wife was talking about becoming a respiratory therapist. All right, it's a 2-year program. It seems daunting now, but in a year and a half from now, I'll be like, holy shit, almost done. It's over, and now new doors are gonna open up. Your life is gonna change. And that's what it takes. But it takes those days when nobody's looking, and those days of putting your nose in the books, or just grinding at whatever it is you want to do that will lead you towards that goal. It's going to take a while sometimes, but it's making a change for the better. Yeah, and that's at the end of the day, is all that matters, man. Because if you're really not trying to improve yourself here, you're really not trying to, I need. Listen, some people are complacent. Some people are, content with their lives. They feel like they made it. They did enough, whatever it is. And, if that's what makes you happy, then and so be it. I don't know. I'm not saying you got to go out and run marathons. I'm not saying you got to go back to school, whatever. But whatever it is that you feel like, you know, you need to, update in your life, make a change. You have some sort of fear of doing so, small steps, one thing at a time, you know. But you'll get there. You'll get there. And like I say in the video, if you fail, you fail. So what? You go back to the drawing board and you chalk it up and you say, all right, what do I do now? What's the next move? Because guess what? Even in failure is a lesson to be learned. It's something. It's a teachable moment, or at least it will be a teachable moment as long as you allow it to be. Um, that's a whole conversation in itself. You gotta be teachable. You gotta be willing to put yourself out there and understand that failure is part of success. There's a lot of days I failed out there. I didn't get no 13-minute PR from just succeeding all the time. I failed a lot in order to get in the mindset that I needed to do more. If that makes sense. And that goes with a lot of things, man. I even when I was first starting out my career as a phlebotomist, I failed tremendously in the beginning, and this is with people's lives, and not like it was life or death, but you know what I mean. I'm dealing with actual human beings, and if I'm being hired to, carry out a certain task, and I'm failing, more than I am succeeding, then guess who's going to be out of a job real soon, But I learned, I got better. I worked at it. I cared about it. I wanted it, more importantly, you know. And I did that shit, And here I am, been in the healthcare for 10 years now, and you know, I'm very good at my craft and what I do, and and happy with what I do. But again, I think it's coming to a point where, all right, what's next? What's the next move here? Yeah. I hear a little somebody in the wings there. What's going on, Mr. Dubois? Are you? Yes,
Yeah, they do.
I've unmuted you.
Oh, there you go. I'm over here just, listening to you, getting ready for number 48.
Yes, yes.
listen to you try, motivate.
Is it 48 or 47? I'd be
The last
happy
one on
on
the
the
one where we
live.
did all those picks, the 3 hour one was 47. Was that our last one?
We did a
Before,
live. We did a live. Let me pull up Mr.
well,
W. Dubois for everybody.
it's 49.
Check him out, everybody. There he is, Mr. Dubois himself. Say hello. All right.
I got it.
I'll check right here for you. But it was one of the live shows. I never got to like editing that
It's
and
49.
putting that up there.
That's it. And then we're up to 49 then.
It's yeah, it was it
You're
was
right.
it
You're
was
right. You're
episode
right.
48. I never got to editing that and putting that up. Yeah,
49. Okay.
yeah.
So the next
So
one
it's
we do is
49.
gonna be
Yeah.
number 50. We're gonna do number 50 together. I'm big fifth.
Well, yes,
Okay.
actually, we should probably that should be a big thing. I was looking
I
at
mean,
episode 50. It doesn't
you
have to
think
be.
about
It
it.
doesn't matter.
When you think about it though, we started in January. So 52 weeks in a year. We did about a show a week.
Yeah. Tricky Nick
Average.
says, "What up, Dubby?
Hey Nick, what's the
Dubby?"
deal?
I was playing golf with Nick the other night on
How did that go
PS5.
with you?
On
Yeah.
PS5, we were playing. Yeah, he kicked our
Uh-oh.
ass. Kicked me and my brother's
Listen,
ass, Nick, over here. Yeah.
I just paid my dues, so like I'm subscribed for 12 months, PS5, I'm just warming it up.
There
And
you
I'm
go.
gonna be on the network. Yeah, I'm gonna be on the network.
We will be switching over to Epis Sports episode 49. Dubby's going to be talking a lot of NFL. What else you got on the docket for them, Dub?
Oh man, I'm gonna talk a little bit of baseball, free agency, hearing that the first domino might fall soon. We're gonna talk a little bit about Giannis.
Mm.
We are going to also get into a couple of, we're gonna definitely talk about that Vegas game, which is a little bit more than the NFL is. you know that.
Man, like I was telling you
Every
earlier,
show is something is with the gambling, right? Every show is something new.
yeah, I had a
Yeah.
patient, right in my seat today at work, man, just getting hot and
So,
heavy about this. He clearly had some shekels on it.
right,
It was
right.
clearly bad, and I felt bad. I was like, I could see just like this
Yeah,
guy's
the
bad,
drug
like
addict behavior.
yeah, it's like a drug, man. And I was like, damn,
It
dude,
is.
like it's not that
It's the
serious,
same
but
behavior.
he is just like all adamant that it's rigged and this and that. I'm
No, but
almost convinced.
but why shouldn't he feel that way?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess so.
It was a lot. We're gonna get into it. The
Yeah.
details of it. We're gonna get into it with the guys and gals on 49. I think what that's about it, man. There was a couple other things. I got them. I got a little, I got them on a clipboard. Got the bullets up.
Good.
Yeah,
Alright.
for sure, bro.
I'll
We're
be
gonna have a
giving you
good
that
one.
transition. For those of you that are watching with us right now, we will cut to break. I will bring him back in and, do the sports show. I'll probably join Dub at some point a little later on. I don't plan on going too
Absolutely.
late tonight.
No
But
shit.
again, we'll be back for episode 50 at some point. I would like it to be tomorrow, to be honest with you. I had potential show for tomorrow. Still up in the air on what
Wednesday.
time, You said
Oh yeah,
Wednesday?
we might do it in the daytime. Yeah, Wednesday be easier for
Yeah,
me, but I could pull it
but
off in the
I'll
daytime.
be busy with the kiddos as well, so I don't know if I could do it for
The
tomorrow.
Magic got that NBA Cup game tomorrow, so I got to be there early, man. They're making a big
Mm.
deal out of it. NBA Cup, baby, Magic Heat,
Are
6 p.m.
Nick's still in that? Or no.
Yeah, they're up in Toronto tomorrow night. NBA
Okay.
Cup up in
Yeah,
Toronto.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Also, but we're gonna kick the show off when we do kick it off, Matt. We're gonna kick it off
yeah.
with Notre Dame, and then we're gonna get into the league, and we'll have
Gotcha.
to close it out.
All right. On the subject of Mental Monday, since you're here with us,
Yes, sir.
part of a lot of what I've been talking about outside of my koi fish emergency at the top of the show.
They survived.
They did survive, but the pond is filling up as we speak, so stay tuned for that. All right, but the show ultimately is about making a change for the better. What's something for you as the new year approaches that maybe you have on your mind? Have you thought about anything? You're looking at into making a change, doing some
I think I
career
can answer
change,
that pretty
whatever.
quick.
Just
I don't think I got to think too hard to answer that, Maddie. I
okay.
can go right. I think what I'm doing it right now, just focus, and I feel good about how I'm moving with it. When I focused, um, it's been a real transitional year for me. I went through a lot of stuff, but ultimately every experience it could make us better should if we use them right. Um,
Mm.
but my emotional intelligence, which I think I've been really getting better with. As far as my own and recognizing people's, and understanding. Like I said, when I understand others, it makes me able to manage my way through this world a lot. Not saying I have to understand when people do effed up stuff, like just understanding where it came from makes you understand, makes you able to deal with it. So just the world, just seeing, like I said, the way I see things and managing myself, which creates discipline, a better discipline for me.
Mm.
I'm still learning myself. We talk about the running, 5 years of it. And during that time, I've really learned about how much I do not even know myself,
Mm.
my body, even. I'd really be amazed. Like you said on the show earlier, like the things you can do, you don't even know you can do them. I heard you, brother. I'm listening.
Yeah.
Running around the house, I've been in the background. I'm listening. So just learning more about myself. But
Mm.
I haven't been this confident going into the next year for a
Mm.
while
Okay, that's great.
than
That's
I am
great to
going
hear, bro.
25 into
Yeah.
26. Yeah, so I really feel good. You know, anything I can control, I feel like I'm ready to tackle.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to keep reminding myself that I got this shit. I can do this shit. Like I'm the
Yeah.
guy,
Yeah.
you know? So
Manifesting that, right, is just so
yeah,
important. Keeping that
yeah.
mentality, on the
And, you're
everyday.
gonna,
Yeah.
you'll see how I'm moving. Maybe you'll know haven't noticed, but you will.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed. So and you could see yourself. Other people could definitely see you. So, and I just want to, just like that. That makes you better, man. You're talking about how to light is gonna try to see what's good. I'm gonna have this tonight, huh? But yeah, you're talking about um. But it always shit. It always starts with accountability, though. Say that shit 1,000 times, yo. Um, and
Yeah.
that's the place where I've been real good at with myself. So everything I think will fall into place, Matt. As far as, and I say that goes with Epis Radio as well. Just my work ethic, improving it, just improving everything I do, you know. Because I know the code already. I already have the code, but it's easy. Like you said, you're talking about complacency. It's so easy
Yeah.
to get off track, man.
Any
And
any personal goals? Anything like like tangible, like something, okay, I want to like achieve this, whatever. Like anything you could really put your put on the
yeah,
calendar
absolutely.
and
Repairing my credit post divorce. It's still
all
shabby
right,
post my
hey,
divorce. I'm
that's
on that.
good.
And I got another one. It's a lot of financial shit, but I'm in a position where I can really, do things. And I'm blessed to be in a position to fix some things, patch some stuff up where I wasn't able to 2 years ago. Maybe in some times where I was in a position, but I didn't have the right mindset.
Mm,
So everything hasn't been at the same time, on the same playing field, everything I need. And I feel like I have that now, that
gotcha.
awareness. So yeah, definitely fixing that up. What was the other one? I told you what I want to do. I didn't even start it, but I was saying from last summer I wanted to do it. I didn't do it once, and that was to start my baseball park bucket list.
Okay,
And I would really like to do some damage in that
I
next year.
like
I
that.
will.
See,
I
I
will.
like
I
that.
will.
Yeah,
I'm going
yeah.
to do some damage in that. Even if I get 3 ballparks in the summer,
See, that's
I'll be happy.
that I really love. See, that's what I'm talking about,
Yeah,
because that
I'm
would
gonna do that.
and make sure that you travel, that you go other places, things like that. That's
The Maddie
really,
like those two. I got specific.
yeah,
Maddie like that. The
yeah,
credit and the
yeah.
ballpark bucket list.
Hey, the credit's always good. Listen, I've been trying to improve the credit for years. All right, so
Yeah,
it has
I was one of the.
improved.
I was
It
that.
has gone up, but very slowly.
Yeah. So this year was the first year my
Yeah,
shit started turning the other way because I hadn't been able to. I was just,
yeah.
it was really post divorce. But this was the first year I actually turned it. But it's still not where I got to be. But it's in the right path upwards.
And that's
Um,
and that speaks to what we were talking about before, because it's just small steps, right? It may seem daunting. It may seem like, oh, what, you go for a new career, it takes a while and things like that. Like, okay, just one thing at a time.
and the
For the
credit thing was like
credit,
that's
make a payment
it's gonna take
slow.
that credit shit'll take longer to fix than Dorothy in school, bro. That credit shit took me a minute,
Right,
but
right,
you know
right,
what I'm
right.
saying?
Like,
Couple two
yeah.
and a half years, that shit gonna be beautiful again. I know,
Exactly.
24 months.
You
Yeah.
can't look at the long haul. You just like running
No,
a marathon,
it's like
right?
the way it's like running.
Small
Yeah, you can't
sections.
thinking about the end.
Yeah.
sections, pieces. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Piece
You
by
know, one.
piece.
I got another good example for you. You know, when you break the light in the ambulance, how do you run the light? Piece by piece of the road. Like if it's a two, three-way lanes, two, three-way sides, one white line, two white line. Look, 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 go.
Only
You know what
you
I'm
and me
saying?
would understand. Only
Yeah, yeah.
those who have been in the ambulance would understand that.
Mental
Yeah.
Monday. Yeah,
But I
that's
mean,
so
that's
silly.
great though, and I really, I'm gonna
Yeah.
hold you to that. I want to hear. I'll even do it with you. By the way, all right. You want to go somewhere? You let me know. We'll put it on the freaking
Yeah,
calendar. Let's
yeah.
go to a ballpark, bro.
I want to go to
You know,
Pittsburgh. That shit looks so great on TV.
I'll go to
They
Pittsburgh
got
with you, but
yeah,
you got to come
yeah.
up here. For me, that's not too bad. I mean, it's still pretty far actually, but it's a
You want to
beautiful
drive
park.
there?
I can drive there. I've driven there before. It's just really deep. Like it's Western Pennsylvania, so it's deep. But it's a
Yeah,
drive.
10 hours. It's 10 hours. 10 hours away.
For who?
8, 9 from New York City.
From New York? Is it really? I feel like it was less. I
About
feel like it
8.
was 8. I
Man,
feel
that
like
shit
it
by
was eight,
Cleveland,
eight and
bro.
a half. No, I know. I did it. I did it with Dorothy. We went there. We went there for a Taylor
It's
Swift
closer.
concert.
It's closer to Toronto than Toronto and
Yeah,
Buffalo is.
we were at Heinz Field for Taylor Swift, bro.
What
Yeah.
year was that?
I want to say, damn. I want to say it's like 2022.
17. Oh shit. Okay.
Nah, I'm bugging. You're right. You're right. You're right. No, it can't. It had to be. It had to be before that.
It was before COVID.
It had to be. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It had to be
Yeah,
before
before
COVID. You're
COVID.
bugging. Yeah, yeah. We've been to quite a
Taylor
few
hasn't really done
concerts.
shit. Yeah, I don't think she hasn't
29.
done no
There
concert.
she is. 2019. Yeah, yeah,
19 years.
yeah. Yeah, there
That's
you
it.
go.
She
Yeah.
ain't been on tour since.
No, she has. She has.
She do one more.
Yeah, 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 she has. Yeah,
Man, she
probably the
just be in
twice
Kansas
actually.
City. She been
But
in Kansas City for 3 years. Yeah, you're right. She was
yeah.
touring while they're dating. You're right.
No, yeah, she has. Um,
Anyway, yeah.
but
I'm gonna talk about him on the show too. He was awful yesterday, but
yeah. But no, that's awesome, bro. I'm gonna hold you to it. You should do it.
no doubt. And
I've been,
that's the thing.
yeah. No, you
Sorry,
go.
Maddie, but that's the thing. Once we make it public, and that's the thing about this, we
Mm,
don't have to make it public, but once we say or you post it, that's what I was talking about with the Epis Run Club page that we're gonna start.
mm.
Once we post it, now you got to do it. Like I'll say something before I go out in the
Well,
morning. Hey, I'm gonna do this. So it's like, yeah, like signing the contract, man.
yes and no, Dub. Like at the end of the day, like if that's what takes you to do it, then great. You know what I'm
It
saying?
works for me.
If
Yeah,
it, and I agree with you.
if I
Especially
tell you that
when I put it out there.
told you I'm gonna do shit and not done it before, and it's really it's disgusting feeling for me. So for me, absolutely it works.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
Not
But
being able to get.
at
Yeah,
the end of the day, you're only showing up for yourself, and that's with anything you do.
it's
Yes,
true.
it's good to keep your word right to others. If you're gonna publicize something, hey, I'm streaming today, or I'm doing this, or whatever. Like, you
You
promise
don't tell
somebody
Dorothy
a
until
certain
you know
something.
for sure. You don't tell Dorothy until you know what? Yeah, this is it. I'm gonna do that. And you tell her. You don't be
Right.
telling her, yeah, like, oh, you do tell her I think about
Well,
this.
I
But
have.
when
I'm not
you're
perfect.
right,
I
you're right.
have. I've made those mistakes before, but I try to be a man of my word now. I really try to. I
Right. We
try to
try to
be.
do it. We do our best.
You
Right.
know,
That's what I'm
even
talking
as a
about.
parent, even as a father. I mean, that is forever been a hard thing. I've had my battles with dealing with that. I've made false promises, but you learn from it. Those are the failures that you should learn from, right? A good person does learn from. There's some failure in the process, and that's part of that failure is not always showing up to where to the standard that you set yourself for, and or to others that they have for you. But again, it's a teachable moment. You got to be willing to be teachable. You got to be willing to learn, and from your mistakes and from your failures. And I think it will only lead to success and happiness and whatever it is else you're seeking. I mean, this is life, man. It ain't just a straight line to success, right? It's just up and down. It's back and forth. It's unpredictable at times. It's not always going to be ideal. genuinely never is, right?
Right.
So
No, it's never the way you think it. It never goes down the way you think
no,
it's should, or the way you plan it to, because you only hold some of the keys.
right,
You know, you can't control every moving part. We
no
can
doubt about
control
it.
our part, but we can control our part.
No doubt
So
about it, bro. I'm gonna get played the mental health video of the week one more time. Then we're gonna start the transition and get out of here. I'm gonna get to break a little bit after that, and then we're gonna get W Dubois and hit that sports intro and get it going for tonight's show.
yes, sir.
Um, Thank you everybody that's joined in on the chat here on Twitch, YouTube. Appreciate you as always. Please like, comment, follow, subscribe. Keep those notifications on, as always. All right. Um, About to play this week's mental health video of the week. If you haven't done so, go check that out on the socials. We really would appreciate it. All right. Oh,
Mhm.
no, don't want to start that prematurely. Here we go. All right, folks. There's that pretty man with the glasses. Listen. All right, just about the glasses. I
You
bought
got the
these
metas,
glasses.
Joe, right?
Nah,
Those are the
it's
metas.
not the metas.
Oh,
I thought about buying the metas, okay, but I decided not to. I tried them on. These are Oakley glasses. I was thinking
they
about
got
getting.
metas.
I, I was thinking about buying the Meta Oakleys, but I just didn't
Mm.
like them, to be honest with you. And also, it's like it's not like super practical for me because like the battery life was only 6 hours long. So for like hiking and things like that, I know it would have died on me. Running content, I could have used it, but it only has that frontal point of view. So I don't always kind of like that for my content anyway, and I don't really care for much. Yeah, I guess it's cool, for the viewer. I don't really know, but it's not really something I was interested in. I do have like other cameras. I have a portable camera and or my phone, which is also another great camera. Like I really don't need, you know, the metas. And because, there's only it's kind of new technology and I feel like eventually like the technology will get better. The battery life will be better, the quality, image quality, the more functions that you could do with it just will be overall better. Um,
Later, yeah, they're gonna make
you know,
make improvements.
that's what
Oh,
I'm saying.
absolutely.
So I'm like kind of
Yeah.
in no rush to do it right now. I really kind of fell in love with these glasses. They have like these side blockers that detach. They come off. It's like a goggles sunglasses. It's a 100% UV protection, and it prevents like snow blindness. So when I go hiking in the winter, it will prevent that, and it's really cool. It gives a nice little effect to the you know to when you're using them. I don't know. I like them. I know they're weird. I don't give a fuck. They were
You're
expensive,
weird. So it's
so
okay.
I like. It's me. It's
Yeah,
Epis. You know,
it's us.
that's
Yeah.
it. That's right. All right. Here's this week's mental health video of the week. Hope you enjoy. Year is coming to an end.
Let's
I
go.
start to look forward a little bit and plan for my future. And part of that is making improvements within myself or just my livelihood overall. I've considered a career change. I've considered, changing it up in a lot of ways, lifestyle, things like that. I want to do more in terms of my own hobbies and goals. I challenge you to do the same. Look ahead a little bit, plan for the future. New Year's resolutions are great, but make an impactful change in your life. Apply to that job that you've been considering or that you don't think you're qualified for. Maybe go back to school. I don't know. That could be the route for you too. I know it's scary at times. Complacency is sometimes good and detrimental. But being content might hinder your growth a little. So challenge yourself. Do something that you don't think that is even achievable, or if it seems like it's long down the road, one step at a time. Just do it. And what's the worst that could happen? You end up where you are now, a year from now. Okay, seems like wasted time, but you challenge yourself. You tried. And more often than not, you're going to be a different person for it and probably a better person. So here's to trying new things. Here's to just changing it up, mainly for the better and trying to be happier in the long run. keep showing up. As the
Keep
year is
showing
coming
up.
to
All right. There's this week's mental health video of the week. Like I said, please comment, like, comment, follow, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Appreciate you. That's it. All right, that's it for tonight's show. We're gonna head to a break soon here and transition into the sports show, episode 49 with W. Dubois, starring W. Dubois tonight. He's riding solo for most of it. I'll probably pop in at some point and close out the show with him, talk a little bit sports, get some things off my chest in the sports realm of things. But
There's a lot of things happening this weekend, Matty B, since we've been on.
indeed, and I was kind of out of the loop because I'm out there in Delaware running the freaking marathon, doing what I'm
People
doing.
texting you, look, everybody,
Yeah.
people looking for you who didn't know, or we just we're just absent of it because we just want to say, hey, Matty, oh, yeah, he's running. But there's a lot of stuff, man, from Saturday and through Sunday, Friday, all of it.
Indeed. All right. Thank you, everybody. I'll do. Should I do my little outro? Yeah, just for the sake of the recording.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna do the outro for you guys, but
You mean
short.
Willy Wonka?
Don't go anywhere. What happened now?
You mean Willy Wonka?
The will. Which yes.
Yeah, you gotta do that.
I know. Gotta do it. Dub says we gotta do it. All right.
Yeah.
So before I hit this outro again, do not go anywhere. If you're still hanging out, Nismo, Twitch, all that, stick around. Dub's gonna be taking over the sports realm of things. For those of you that are watching in post, thank you as always. I appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Mental Mondays with Epis. I certainly did. I hope you have a beautiful week. Let's reconvene. It is the holiday season. We will be back next week. We will talk more mentals. I hope you're enjoying this holiday season. I hope you're not super stressed. There'll be enough gifts underneath the tree. Don't worry. One thing at a time, one step at a time. Take this time to focus on the new year, reflect and self-reflect, and jot some things down. Think about what you may want to change about yourself, for your family. Whatever it is, make a positive change. Make a change for the better. It's necessary. All right? Not necessarily a New Year's resolution. I don't like the idea of the New Year's resolution because I feel like it just sets you up for failure. Write it down, break out a calendar, do something. All right? Let's work towards a new goal together.
I mean, writing stuff down, it really, really is a real thing. Like that's manifestation. And you see it.
Yeah.
Now you wrote it, you see it, and if you look at it again, you write down somewhere and you could see it more than once. Something you're not going to forget about. You don't want to just put it away. You don't want to just put up. You want it. That's why we have a lot of people use so many messages in their homes. What kind of home? You want to keep the energy going. So when you write stuff down, it lasts longer.
No doubt about it. All right, well, folks, like I said, for those watching live right now, don't go anywhere. After the intro comes the break. Then we're going to break out the new intro to the sports show. So thank you for showing up. Appreciate you.
New intro right now? First time?
No. It's the same intro, but
Okay. Let me see.
We're going to hit you with the intro to bring in the sports show. All right. Don't worry. All right. Same as we always do here on Epis Radio. It's your boy, Matty B. W. Dubois. This is Mental Mondays with Epis. Appreciate you for showing up as always. Until next time.
You can't remember where it was. Has this dream stopped? Hope you find some kind of peace of mind. And hope you find
with my love, with my love.
All right, everybody, stay tuned. W2R coming up soon. Episode 49 of Epis Sports. This concludes Mental Mondays with Epis. Keep showing up.